And good morning and welcome to the October 15th, 2014 weekly business session of my mic is not on. And welcome to the October 15th, 2014 weekly business session of the County Board of Directors, County Board of Commissioners. Okay. Supervisor. What do you want us to do? We are then. Now let's get underway with our pledge of allegiance. We'll have our meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and it's always good to be reminded of the important things to begin our time together. There are agendas on the back table on the foyer if you want to get one. We have a short agenda in the sense that there are 4 administrative items, action items, and then we'll have a request comments from citizens. So if we will get underway with the first item, the administrative agenda, is the approval of the 2014 Victims of Crime Act, the VOCA Competitive Grant Award, page 2. That falls under the auspices of our elected district attorney, Stephen Campbell. And it is a grant that has to be applied for. Victims of Crime Act allows money to be able to qualify for it. It's a rather extensive application form, and which the district attorney has done a good job to chase these things down, and it will be able to fund a 2-year grant of about $80,000 to go toward one helping with this Victims of Crime Act. I asked Mr. Campbell to provide some ideas of what this would cover, what this deals with, and he says to make sure that the victim is aware and has an opportunity to exercise their constitutional rights. And these rights include being able to be present and to be heard at the original release hearing if the defendant is in custody, the right to be notified of all significant court hearings. And basically, the district attorney's office is the one who will willingly walk a victim through this legal, sometimes seeming maze to have a good conclusion. And that's what this is for, the money to provide for a attorney or a legal aid, basically, to be in the district attorney's office to facilitate that opportunity to make sure that the victim has all the legal protection and can find out the answers that they want to find out, because oftentimes in the midst of all of that, they're not clear thinking, and it's a difficult time. So it provides that opportunity to help meet these needs, and we're thankful that Mr. Campbell has applied and has received that. So the second one is for Mr. Schofield, who's here as the Human Relations, to help us better understand the approval of the request for a job addition of the district attorney's office, and turn to Mr. Schofield.
Jay, do you still please Director Josephine?
No, I don't. That's just I'm really pleased that Mr. Campbell is still going after as many funding opportunities as he possibly can in his office. Staff has done a great job.
The request is for addition of a position, which is a victim assistant position. It's in correlation with the grant. I have some actual personal experience with this type of position. My wife was a victim of a hit and run incident in Lincoln County, and their position is very similar to what we're asking for. They did a terrific job of explaining what her rights were, explaining what the process was, because when you're a victim of a crime, unless you've had it happen before, hopefully that isn't the case, you just don't know what to do. You don't know what the process is, and their job is to help the victim walk through that process, understand what's coming next, what their rights are, what's available to them. So the addition of this position would allow for a person to do that very valuable work. And it was great that the VA was able to apply for and receive the grant to fund this position. So he's asking for approval of the addition of that position of assistance.
Let me backtrack back to some of the duties of this person being hired under the Victims of Crime Act. Several things: to make initial contact with telephone or in person, to assist the victim, work with victims to determine restitution, make referrals to crime victim compensation, verify and process monetary losses, provide emotional and technical aid, establish rapport with victims in distress and keep them appraised of all upcoming court events, advocate for victims' rights with prosecutors and courts, and accompany victims to court and explain court proceedings to them. So even as you alluded to, sometimes as the person is the victim, they are at loose ends, and then we get to the court, and that's a strange area, and it becomes very helpful to have somebody who has knowledge of the process to come alongside and help walk them through that. So it's a big deal. So, any questions on the number 2? Number 3, again, Mr. Schofield, we have the approval of request for job addition in public health.
So the Public Health Department, much like the VA, has been the recipient of a grant. They actually were awarded the grant. The grant went to the Healthy Care Coalition of Southern Oregon, and it's through the Healthy Start program, which is a state-run program. And they have a series of Healthy Start, Healthy Communities program that need to be done, but not the ability to get the work done if they don't have the staff. So they've selected Josephine County as the designate for $86,000 for the end of this fiscal year and $108,000 for the next 4 years. And as part of that money, what the department would like to do is add a public health assistant to get that work done. So they're working with coalition partners to advance programs when it comes to education and understanding of the Healthy Start programs throughout the community.
No questions. I just think for the public's standpoint, the reason these are on the administrative calendar is because they're not budgeted funds. They're something that's new. It's come in the middle of our fiscal year. These applications probably went in obviously months ago, but they've just been recently awarded, and so we're having to make these adjustments. And whenever you make a financial adjustment outside of a budgetary item, it's provided for on our administrative calendar. We spend more time on this, although we review all of these items at a previous administrative meeting on a Thursday prior. So I just appreciate you coming here, Mr. Schofield, and really highlighting the positive elements of these departments going out and seeking non-Josephine County property tax-based funding mechanisms to provide vital services, really. I mean, for victim assistance and for our Healthy Start program. Those are really important programs that are funded by outside means. So I just commend the staff and you for facilitating this. So thank you very much.
The 4th one we have, and the speaker just walked in. Do you want to address this?
I think she's addressing the fact that we have no sound going out here.
Yes.
Oh, is that right?
They're aware of the okay.
But she is here, and that would be great for her to do if she chooses. She doesn't have to.
She's already on board.
To speak on the, since you're here, Ms. Roach, it would be great if you could speak to our item number D,
which is the approval of the Southern County IGA, and maybe explain that.
Okay, the state legislature passed some legislation that allowed for a grant that the 7 counties in the southwest region applied for to be able to do some work that we wouldn't have the funds to do otherwise, and to test out in the pilot program a collaboration effort between the counties. And the main focus for Josephine County is education and compliance on the business personal property aspect of property tax assessments. And so by entering into the intergovernmental agreement, along with the others, Lane County will take the lead, and they will hire staff that will be paid for by the grant, who will be able to make contacts with businesses who are possibly unaware that they need to be reporting. And so that's kind of our focus.
Great.
And if there's any questions.
We back up. We talked about why this grant was appropriated by the state legislature under House Bill 5201. The reason is that over the years, much like our offices, across the state and specifically in Southern Oregon, we have seen dramatic reductions in our assessment staffing. And so basically your office provides for the assessment for the city, which is a little over $2.2 billion worth of taxable assets. And then the remainder in the county is about $4.4 billion worth of taxable assets. So her office administers the assessment of all of that property that goes into what is the revenue stream for funding the schools and for our city and for the county, 58 cents. The problem is if you don't have the staff, you're not necessarily keeping up with changes that have happened in business practices or even personal things. And from my standpoint, it isn't necessarily, because at 58 cents, we're not really capturing all that much. In fact, we don't even know necessarily for us if we would pay for that work. But what we're doing is we're providing a fair platform for everybody to operate. It's not appropriate in my mind to have one business who is doing the right thing, who's filed their appropriate taxes and based on personal property taxes for business. And then you have your neighbor who's operating, could be the same kind of a business,
Exactly.
competition, who has not done so. And that's, these are the laws. And if you don't like the laws, we need to change them. But rather than having people who are not abiding by them and those who are, we need a level playing field, in my opinion. And I really think this is going to go along.
And just for people who are listening in, for business personal property, there is a threshold. And so your small businesses that don't have a lot of assets, and it's based on a depreciated cost of those assets. So if they're below the threshold, they don't get taxed at all. But there is a compliance portion that they are supposed to be reporting. And then we look at it, and if they are under that threshold, we cancel, so there's no tax. But if they're above that, and they're competing with someone who is reporting, who's being taxed, then it really is unfair competition that they're avoiding that. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I don't anticipate that we will pick up a lot of property tax revenue from it, because so many of our businesses are small and are under the threshold. But
What is that threshold?
it's $16,000 in depreciated assets, and it adjusts for cost of living. So it started out at $10,000 several years ago, and it's gradually crept up. So even if someone reports $18,000 this year, by next year it could be depreciated down to where they're not paying. So that it's a constant change, but it's always kind of increasing the threshold.
Additional benefit to just knowing what kind of businesses are out there, and just another opportunity for us to say, wow, we have a lot of these kinds of things. Like
Right.
we have 10 times the national average of online businesses.
Exactly.
So we put focus and emphasis on improving infrastructure in the areas where we see businesses developing. And I think this will
Right.
also.
And that type of company, very often, even though they may be making a lot of income and they may be paying income tax, if they're just working off a couple of computers, they're probably not paying property tax at all. And computers are one of those things that depreciates very fast. So, you can have a business that's very successful and yet they don't have to pay property tax, but there is a compliance element, and that's where the education comes in.
And just for clarity, this is not on the sales, this is on the equipment.
Right, it's on the desks and the chairs, the phones, the computers, whatever the things are that they use to run their business. It's not even their inventory. I mean, if it's a retail store and they have things for sale, those things for sale are not part of it, but the racks that hold them are.
And Commissioner here mentioned the idea of having a level playing field as best as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we want to go back and try to change the law, that's one thing.
Yeah.
but the law's enforced, so let's try to have a level playing field.
Exactly.
I mean, I saw it twice on the administration of this, and you get a little nervous. But yet, on the other hand, everybody who's trying to make a business, make it work and successful, has to comply to these things.
Right.
And those who are not complying, really they are at the unfair business advantage.
And there's one other aspect to this too, in that, like any other property, if we find that it should have been on the roll 5 years ago, we might have to go back 5 years and collect 5 years of tax in 1 year if we don't get compliance timely. So that's part of the education also, is that, if they are a taxable business, that they have sufficient income or sufficient assets to be taxable. It could be a hardship on them that they're then required to pay 5 years all at once instead of having each of those years happen as they occurred.
Is that at your discretion or is that state law?
That's state law that we are required to go back 5 years,
So that's something.
assuming that the business has been in business that long.
We've actually, I'm shocked to learn that when you discover one of these things, and I'm going to deviate a little bit from what we're talking about because it's more along the lines of property, and it could have been used for exclusive farmland or forest resource, forest commercial, and you didn't even have to own the property for that 5 years if it wasn't. It seems completely outrageous that you could have to pay back taxes for a property you just acquired a year ago because it didn't meet the deferment requirements, and that's something we definitely need to fix at the state level. That's state law. You don't have discretion. I've checked into it.
And that's something I don't like doing, especially we get forest land where the prior owner was holding it for the growing and harvesting of timber, and so they get the special assessment. The new owner comes in and they say, I don't have that intent, and so they get taken out. Well, generally they don't mind that they got taken out because they don't have that intent. But when you tell them you have to go back 5 years and get 5 years of back taxes that they never paid, but they're going to have to make that up. It's their action that took it out. I would like to see the state legislature change it so that it only went forward and not this back penalty. I don't understand that, but I am stuck with it. So we have to do that. But yeah, that is a little bit different topic.
Not shortage of things to work on. Yeah. Discover them all the time.
And by the way, there's somebody in Carl Wilson's office that had that happen to them this year, and I told them to tell Carl.
Good. Good answer.
Look at that thing. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah. That is the administrative agenda, and time to move to the request of comment from citizens. And each person is given 3 minutes to speak, and we would appreciate those who are wanting to do so. If you just simply raise a hand and acknowledge you, and after you will make it, well, as long as you're up.
Sandi Cassanelli, Maryland, Oregon. Well, I wanted to comment on the latest AOC resolution regarding OMC lands, but thanks to Commissioner Hare a while back, we cannot comment on agenda items. We have to use it during our public comment period. So I will use my 3 minutes to address 1D on the agenda today. I think that if you guys sign this, it's going to slit the throats of the businesses here in Josephine County. It adds another burden onto businesses that are already struggling here in the county. More regulations. You are going to give up the names of people who have not filed a personal property tax return to Lane County. And it's so that Lane County can create a database that can implement field reviews. That means come visit your business and tell you that, and check the accuracy of your returns if you have filed one. This is not just about education. This is about adding a little more oomph to stuff that the county is already perfectly within their rights to tell businesses or inform businesses that they must file these personal property tax returns. This is not good for the businesses of Josephine County. You are going to be betraying the citizens of Josephine County by taking state money that the public has given to the state, tax money, and you're going to use that money against local businesses. If this isn't the classic case of draconian government, taking money from the citizens in order to punish citizens, I don't know what is. And it'll be interesting to see if Commissioners Hare and Heck vote for this. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mike Jones, Grants Pass. I was not going to say anything today, but the taxing of personal property, if what your interest is to foster economic development, this is the antithesis of that. This is, I understand the need to pay property taxes, and I pay plenty of them in this county. But the taxing of the personal property, and then, of course, that just sounds wrong to me. That just sounds like that just makes it that much harder to get something going in this county. I think it's the wrong direction.
Yes.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. Whenever you call and try to get vital information about yourself or something that's secret, one of the first things you have to do is identify your social security number, of course, and your name. And they're probably going to ask you a question if it's information that could be kept secret. They may ask you your date of birth, and they're likely to ask you where you live. And those are the four questions that then the doors are open. Well, what a lot of people don't know is just recently, all that was thrown wide open. Thieves invited to come in and share all the information, anything that you want for 851,000 Oregonians. Anybody that's applied to the Oregon Employment Division is now in danger. They just revealed, and they don't know how long the door was open, that hackers broke in, stole all that information or had access to all that information. Your name, your social security number, your date of birth, and where you live. I found this tucked down just above the lotteries information on yesterday's Daily Courier. Now, what does this mean for us? Well, what it means is that one person in 3.6 statewide is affected by this if you've done any kind of conversation, any kind of communication with the employment department. Since the unemployment is so large in Josephine County, if you look around sitting at home or in this audience, and there's two people, one person on either side of you, you're the 1 in 3. If you've been looking at all for a job, 100% of you are in danger. You know, this should be on the front page of the Courier, not Dog Licks Ice Cream Cone. This is the kind of thing that ought to be on the front page of every Oregon newspaper. It's not tucked down here, the lotteries information. What kind of newspaper is this? And it's happened across it. Oh, this is what's called in professional journalism circles, oh, by the way, the world ends tomorrow. And it's stuck down on page 9. So again, if you or anyone you know has been out of work and has been applying for jobs and have been in contact with the employment division, all your information is right out there for anybody to take. Isn't that lovely? Why isn't this on KJO? It purports to be a news agency. Why am I the one telling you? Remember, you told me I'm no kind of news. Oh, you're not any kind of journalist at all. Well, thanks. Now you know. It should be on the front page.
Anyone else?
Commissioners, Mark Seligman, Selma, Oregon. Today I want to talk about Measure 91. Measure 91 is on the ballot for citizens to vote on. It's the legalization of marijuana in the state of Oregon. What's curious about this on a county and a city level, Josephine County commissioners and Grants Pass councilors wanted to have no input on the citizens initiative leading up to Measure 91. In fact, the only input that there was from the county commissioners was a ban or moratorium. Grants Pass wanted a ban, county commissioners wanted a moratorium. In essence, hurting local economy of Josephine County, hurting startup businesses. We could have had marijuana dispensaries in Josephine County starting May 1st, just like Curry County, and the economy of this county would be significantly improved. So rather than embrace an industry which will bring jobs and money to Josephine County and the residents, local governments hurt it. Furthermore, Measure 91 will give police breathing room from 12,000 state arrests, which will put Josephine County sheriffs and Grants Pass police onto more important crimes. Measure 91 will bring in money for education, drug and alcohol rehab, local and state law enforcement. Most importantly, it gets rid of the criminality of it so people won't be arrested over the age of 21. Now, you want to tax it locally. Measure 91 specifically does not provide for this, for any municipality to tax it. Furthermore, if you do tax it, on top of the state tax, it will encourage black market activity. I am in contact with various legislators like Peter Buckley and Floyd Przansky who helped who are pushing for this bill, and I'm urging them to turn down any request from Grants Pass or Josephine County for any approval of local taxation. As your state representative candidate for District 3, I will not support further taxation. This will not be grandfathered in if I have anything to do about it. You didn't embrace this? You could have? How hypocritical of you. We need representatives and commissioners and counselors who support local business and the law. You don't do this. Carl Wilson, my opponent, is also probably in your corner where he didn't support it either. So people have a clear choice in voting for state rep as far as local economy improving and the rights of people not to be arrested for marijuana possession. It's really a shame because in a county that's so desperate for revenue, you could have had people going to work, non-marijuana related business from May 1st, but you choose not to. Thank you.
Anyone else? In the back. I see Amy.
Judy Ahrens, resident of Josephine County. I'm also scrapping what I came up here to talk about with my visual aid product, so I'll do that for another meeting. My precious 3 minutes at hand. But I also, when I listen to the concerned citizens here, 3 of them, Mike Jones, Dale Matthews, and Sandi Cassanelli, it makes a lot of sense. And I think we just have to be reminded that you represent those people too. Remember, you don't represent just a few people or few people from, we've got to follow the law, etc. This is exactly what Jim, oh my goodness, I'm losing my names here, but owns a lumber company. These are the things that were like Jim Rafferty. And these are the kind of things that has been very bothersome to him. To see you have to have your paper clips, your scotch tape, all these little incidental things. This is ridiculous. How can we, the citizens out here, stress to you public service, and forget the word politicians, you are public service. That name is prevalent with me, a public servant. To understand that this country, this whole nation was built on the mom and pop stores of this community. It wasn't built on government and the big corp. It was built on small mom and pop stores. So when I see what we're doing here, and if you call yourself a conservative public servant, this would be totally in contrary, this number D, to what these conservatives who got up to speak, and you do represent them, wherever you fall on the political scale here, whatever affiliation you have. These represent the small mom and pop store. We talk about the security, the safety of our community. I hear it, been hearing it for the past couple of years. But people are moving to Texas for a reason. They really, really, really are. They're moving because those communities, or Texas as a state friendly for small businesses, even larger ones. So if you say, well, the stores are closing down, people are moving to other places, I would argue with the sheriff or anybody that's running as a sheriff that safety is a factor, but these are the factors that are going to keep people. Well, I get some nice shoes for my kids. Can I take them? I look at Jim Rafferty. He's not driving a Cadillac. He's not driving a big fancy car. You know where I think the fancy cars is in your public government employees. I can look at the teachers. I can look at their trip to Europe. I can look at the principals. I've been there. I've seen them all. I've observed. We observe. We're not dumb. Some of these people are very smart out here in your audience. So I wish you would take their concerns to heart, really, really, really to heart, and look at that. I don't know if it's another court emergency. We've got to get this passed because just so many grants and stuff are always in a hurry. But a person's emergency is just a lack of poor planning. That's not our emergency. That's to me a lack of poor planning. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
Vivian Kirkpatrick-Pilger, I live in Grants Pass. The House Bill 5201 legislation was passed. Do you know when it was passed? That was my first question. My second question is, I would think that before you would pass an intergovernmental agreement, which is what this IGA is, and some people at home do not understand that, it goes between many counties with one county being the lead county, which is Lane in our case. And they get all the information from our county and decide, I guess someone decides whose house to go to and what to look at and see if they've actually reported all of their personal assets. I think this is really bad for small business, especially at this time in the economic swinging of our country and this county. I think that there's a solution to this. You either A, don't join the intergovernmental agency and just tell them that you're declining their offer, or B, you put in a resolution, if you have the power to do this, and I imagine you do, a resolution saying that you reserve the right to waive the 5-year back taxes. As if you intend to participate in this, tell them you as a body, the Josephine County Board of Commissioners, reserve the right to waive the 5-year back taxes in this project. Now, there's a solution for you. That might be good. Those are some of my comments about that. The other comment was I received my lovely tax bill from Josephine County, and I know that I signed a petition and I voted for an animal shelter tax. Very much against the grain of what I usually do, but I love animals that much. It does not appear on my tax bill. Now, the Three Rivers School District appears, the Rogue Community College appears, the Southern Oregon Educational Service District appears, Josephine County appears, 4-H Extension appears, Josephine County Local appears, and then some things called excluded from limitation, a county bond levy, a Three Rivers School District, and another excluded from limitation total of $105. I have no idea what excluded from limitation total means, but I don't see anything about the animal shelter tax on here. I would like it separated out. I would like to see that they're getting their money and it's not being mixed up with general government funds and somehow the shell game that was sometimes played in this county is played and they don't get their money, because that would be dishonest. And I would like to think that our elected officials are honest. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Just so Ms. Roach doesn't leave if it's appropriate, I think maybe she can answer that question after.
Bill Ertel, Williams, Oregon. I'd like to talk a little bit about Measure 91. Is that the right measure?
For one bill.
Medical or recreational marijuana. I had the opportunity Saturday night to attend a 3-hour meeting in Williams on this very subject, and it was led by a very well qualified attorney who specializes in medical marijuana issues. Two interesting things I just wanted to share. One, he's a very pro the marijuana industry, but he was very emphatic that you still cannot drive impaired under the influence of marijuana, whether it's medical or recreational. And I noticed one of the speakers today was inferring that we'll have less criminal cases with Measure 91, and that doesn't seem to be the case. The other interesting thing that was discussed was that Measure 91 is primarily driven by the interest of corporations that will be warehouse growers. And the new term I learned is outside growers, which primarily in Williams would be medical marijuana. So it seems the balance is so tipped that the growers in Williams, is going to form their own organization. I think it's called Sunshine something, so that they can actually employ a lobbyist to go to Salem to protect their interests. So it's not Measure 91 all what it might seem, and it may impact the small family farmer who is now called an outside grower. So just some information